Just took that chunk out. And it's getting its final depth. You see how it came up and went around? And this right here is a little piece in the middle that hadn't been taken out yet. So it's not quite down to the V. It is here, but not up here. But it'll come back and clean that up. You see it's got it there too. That's a part that's not quite V'd out yet. So now it's going to come get its sharp corners. It'll come up here and get its sharp corners and take that little piece out right there. There it goes, and there it goes up there. It's going to come down. It's going to come up here, and it'll do the same thing up on this to give you that flat edge and those sharp corners. It's still got to do this corner down here. See, it gave it that. Now it's got a nice, flat, sharp corners, and it's going to hit here, and it should be done. Yep. This is why a lot of times I won't use the animate the preview because I just want to see it done. I really don't need to see where the tool runs. So if I run it and I notice something strange, like let's say this came way over here or there was some erroneous line here, then I might slow down, do the animate and slow the speed down so I could see what exactly is happening and why. I may have left a node out there or something that I didn't realize was out there, and or I had a hidden line that I didn't see that was carvable, and it tried to do it. So usually the only time I use animate is if I find an issue in my um, toolpath. You can see it went down this side, and then it left a little bit in the middle, and then it goes out and takes out that, cleans up that little spot in the middle as it comes down to do the corner. So now it'll come up, clean this up, get our top two corners up here so they're nice and sharp. And up it goes. And then it does a final cleaning pass to get that really nice clean V in there. And down to our last letter. It does our sharp corner cleanup on this side. Come up to the top over here. Go up to this corner, and then down to this corner, and it'll be all done. Okay, so here's our board. And if I click my left mouse button, I can rotate this up so now we can see down inside of it. Okay, so it did a nice job. Now what I can do, let's say if you ever get lost in here and you're like, oh, I can't get it back right, just come up here in this corner here, you'll see ZXY, click on the Z, and it'll move it right back where we were. Now, when you're running over your board, if you watch right down here, see those numbers, the XYZ? That's telling me what position the X and Y coordinate, X, Y, and Z coordinates where my mouse is. Now remember, Z is how deep it goes. At the surface of the material, we're at 0. So if I want to know how deep my cut went, I can run my mouse right down through there. We're about 0.28. And just kind of get an average. Oh, there's a 0.3. So 0.32 is like the deepest I saw. So we'll say we've got an average of 0.3 depth on this. So if you're curious how deep it is, and then you can sit there and you can say, okay, that's a little over 1/4 of an inch. That's going to work fine. That's going to be a nice deep V-carve for me. That'll look really nice. If it wasn't enough, you know you have to make your text bigger. Okay, so let's say that's not enough. We're going to take this toolpath and let's just delete it out of here. We're going to get rid of this one. No, we don't want to do that. We'll reset our preview. We'll close out of this. And we'll go back to my Z view. And now I'm going to come back up here because I'm in my 3D view now. I'm going to go back to my 2D view. I'm going to go out this door. I want to go back into the other room where my design is. Now you were wondering about changing the scale of your text. There's a number of ways you can do this. When you want to change positioning, scale, rotation, if you want to distort it, those are all transformations. Okay, you want to transform it. So in this case, if we want to scale it, let's say I don't have it selected, I can select it once and it's selected. If I double select it a second time, I get these little handles up here in the corners and in the middle. So if I grab this one and I just take it up, it's just going to stretch it up. So it didn't keep the perspective. It didn't keep its height to width ratio that it normally has. It stretched it. And sometimes you may want to do that just to make it look different. If I were to grab just a side, I'm stretching it out that way. But if I grab a corner, now I'm grabbing the hollow boxes right now, these little hollow boxes here. You can see when I put my mouse over it, it turns to the white bar with the arrows going both ways. If I grab a corner, now it's going to scale it equally height to width. So it's more like it keeps its normal shape, but it's changing its overall size. Okay. Now if I go to the solid little circles on the outside, I can rotate it. So let's say I wanted it to give it that stamped look like on the side of a package or something. You know, if I wanted to carve fragile into something, I could do it like that and make it look like it was hand stamped. Okay, so you can do it. Remember, you select it once, it's selected. Click on it a second time, the little hollow boxes will scale. It'll change your height, your width, or your height and width together. You can also move it. If you see the 4 arrows, you can move it now. Okay. The little solid boxes are your rotation. So I'm grabbing that corner, I'm rotating off the middle there. Now what I can also do is, as long as I have it, I've got it singly selected, so I have my text selected and I have not converted this text to curves, it's still regular text, I can come back into my text tool and you notice it puts it up there. So I could change my height. I say, okay, 3.57. No, I want it 3.50. And then I can either hit enter or apply and it'll change it. So I changed my size within here. Okay. I can also, as long as it's selected, come up to my transform objects and select that, and that'll automatically put that up here for me so I can use my handles again for scale. Or yep, if I want to change my anchor, I can change my anchor. We're not going to get into anchors right now, but where are we at? So I can come in here and it gives me my handles again. Okay. So I go to scale and get my handles. Just remember, you have to have it selected. I'm sorry, this is my move tool. So I can move it in this one. My scale is here. In my scale, I can actually change it. Right now the width is, okay, say we want this 18 inches even, and it's got a height of 3.595. Our X and Y are linked, and that's what we want. That way it won't stretch it out either way. So whatever I change this by, it's going to change this by the same percentage. So I'm going to say I want a width of 18 even, and I apply that. So now it moved to 18 and the height changed proportionately. Now I could do this. Let's say if I unclick this and I say I want my height 1 inch, it squishes it way down, which you may want it to look like that. That looks kind of cool. You never know. Then I can push Control Z, or I can go Edit, Undo. And you see that, you hear, if you hold your, come on, let me get over there. If you hold your Control key and then click on your Z key, it'll undo as well. So I undid that last change of the squish. If I want to rotate it, so remember, this is where this moves it to a new position. This one will have you scale it. This one will rotate it, and I can tell it I want this to rotate 5 degrees. And there's my 5 degrees. Say, oh, that's the wrong way. So what I can do is undo that, and then this time I push the Control key, held it down, then tap the Z key. You say, I want to go the other way 5 degrees, so I'm going to go negative 5 degrees, and I can hit Enter on the keyboard or Apply. That's what I wanted. Okay, then I close out of that. Then let's say I come back here to my scale and say, now I want to do that weird squishy thing to it. So I don't have these linked anymore, so I'm going to go down and do this to 2 inches, enter it. Then I'm going to click that back again, because you should kind of always have that clicked, otherwise you may forget and cause you problems. So now I have that, and that makes it look totally different than it did before. Then from there, it's all the same. I select my text, say, okay, that's what I wanted. I'm going to go out this door into my other door. All my stuff here is good. Nothing has changed. I'm going to go to my V-carve. I want to use that tool, keep all my settings that I had. I'm going to calculate it. This time I am not going to animate my preview. And I'm going to preview the selected toolpath. And you'll see my blue line's going to run. My blue line's running across the bottom down here. That's the computer thinking, and then it's going to pop up right there. So now, use my left mouse button. I can rotate around and see what it looks like. And like I said, if you get lost, you just come up here, you click on the Z, and it takes you home. Notice I've got a 5-degree rotation on it, and I squished it down so it looks a little different, but it's still V-carved in there very nicely. With all that stuff I did to the text, it didn't change it. The machines can still cut it for you. Remember, again, get lost, go back to Z, and that's fine. And that takes care of that. Now, let's say I like this, and I want to cut it. So here's my toolpath. I can come up here to this little clock, look at it, and it'll tell me this is going to take approximately 4 minutes and 44 seconds to do. Okay, so that's okay. Now when I want to save my toolpath out for my machine, I'm going to click on this one here, Save Toolpath. I click on that. Make sure that we have it set to, which yours will only have those choices because we changed that. So we're going to go to CNC Shark. We're not doing a 3D contour, so we're going to go arcs, and we're in inches. So CNC Shark, USB, arcs inch dot tap. But it may be a little different than mine, but it'll be CNC Shark arcs inch tap. That's the important part. You can save that out, and it's going to ask you how you want to save it. I'm just going to save it to the desktop. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to change the name of this. So I want this, let's say I had multiple operations in here. This is going to be operation 1. So I'm going to say 0, 1. Then I do an underscore. Then I'll say this is text, then an underscore. I'm going to say VBit and an underscore. And it was a 1/2 inch VBit, so I'm going to put a 5. I know it's a 0.5, I'm just going to put a 5. I'm going to underscore, and it was a 90 degree and not a 60 degree, so I'm going to put, so it's 0, 1 is, I want to do this particular file first. It's going to cut the text, so the second part tells me what it's going to cut. The third bit part tells me it's a VBit, so what type of bit I'm going to use. The next part tells me the size of that bit, which is a 0.5. And then the next part tells me it is a 90 degree VBit. That way, just by looking at the file, I know if I have multiple files, if I ran a couple different ones, I know which one it is that I want. If this was, let's say we were doing a pocket and it was an end mill, it would say text, EM for end mill, and then probably just 0.25 or 0.125 for a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch, because there's no degree on that, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. But that way, like I said, I always know. And then my next procedure that I want to do after that would be 02 and then 03, so I do them in the proper order. Okay, I'm not going to save that out though. All right, so I hope this helped you. Take a look at this. If you have more questions, feel free to give me a call. And remember, I think you can still schedule some time with Robert to work with you some on this. I'll have to go because I don't think he counted when we set up the machine. I'm not sure. That may have, but we'll see what we can do about that. And I know you're signed up for the class, so I'll see you at the class. But I hope this helps. And if you have more questions, don't hesitate to ask. Call me, email me, and I'll try to clarify anything I can or get more in depth. But that's your basic V-carve, and then from there we'll start working on more and getting you into bigger, better, and funner projects. So take care, y'all, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.